Hi there, welcome back. If you've seen my previous video on how to create a sidebar nav, then I'm very sorry. I'm going to recreate that because I think I owe it to you, because when I did that video, let's think of some excuses. I was tired, I wasn't very well, blah blah blah. But anyway, it wasn't very good. I didn't explain the situation very well or what I was doing. So I'm going to redo it. I don't know if I'm going to leave that video there or delete it, but I mean, you can still view it by all means if it's still there. If it gets views, then I'll leave it. But anyway, let's get on with doing it properly. So here I've created a sidebar menu 2 folder, and in here we're going to do the usual thing. We're going to create an index.html and a styles.css, and then within the index, if we go to that, we'll do exclamation tab, fill it all out, and we'll say sidebar menu take 2. And also I'm going to link the style sheet, styles.css. If we go to cdnjs.com, we can find the font awesome CDN, and if we click this button, we can copy the URL as it says. So copy that, go underneath this link and type in link, hit tab, and then in the href we can paste that link in. So now we have access to the font awesome library, which is here. So you can see we have a house which is going to be associated with a home menu item. Anyway, let's open the live server. You won't see anything just yet apart from the sidebar take 2 title up there, so we can close this and get on with it. Now, as before, I'm going to put in a wrapper to contain everything, and within there, sidebar class and a content class. Now I'm going to put some content in here so we can sort out that side of things, but let's first tackle the sidebar. Firstly, logo, and in there I'm going to do a span so I can style the NTW part of the logo differently. Xfill. I use this example in a few videos. I don't know why I don't just change my logo. There you go. HR horizontal rule, and then a UL. Right then, within the list item, I'm going to put a anchor tag, and within there, hash. In here, home. But before that, I want to put in the icon. So, got the house, clicked copy, go here, paste, save. We go and have a look. There we go. So, I think that explains how it's set out a bit better. So I'm going to copy that, copy, paste, 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 paste. So the second one is going to be, I think that was about. Third one was services. This one was portfolio. This one contact, and this one gallery. Save, and they've all got houses. Excellent. So we need to go and find different icons for these, and I'm gonna pull this over a bit. Now I have used the free icons, and I think that the free ones are solid icons. So about, I'm gonna do information, which I think is this one. So we can replace that with that, save. There we go. So let's get rid of that. Services, I'm going to do a gear icon for that one. Gear, services, just replace the whole thing. Good. And for the next one is portfolio, so I'm just going to do a file. And which one? This one. Portfolio. Good. And contacts, I'm going to do mail. This one. Paste. And for gallery, it's obviously going to be this one. So let's do that. Do you know I didn't copy that, did I? Let's go back and do that. Envelope. Copy. Right, save. Good. Okay, so let's make that a bit narrower so we can see the code. So that's that section done. So that's the UL. So we can go into here and do another HR. In fact, let's put a bit of space between these so they're a bit more obvious. We can even note them up. Menu 1. Say menu 1 because if you've seen the thumbnail, I've added another little menu, which we're going to do now. And I'm going to call this one user menu. And in here, I'm going to do a list item and an anchor tag. And in here, I am actually going to give this one a class. And I'm going to call that login button. And it's going to say, surprisingly, login. Copy. Paste. This one is going to be register button. Like that. Okay, good. I'm not giving these icons because these are going to be buttons. I mean, you can if you want to, but I'm not. So underneath here, I'm going to put footer area and footer tag, and I'm going to say ampersand copy, which if I save that produces the copyright symbol, and then I can put in here Geeksville 2022, even though there's not much of it left. So that about covers it. So I think all we need to do now is the styling, but we will come back and put some content in here in paragraph tabs. So I'm going to do a couple of them. Save. So I think what we need to do now is get on with the styling. So let's do the wildcard selector, which selects near enough everything. Font, family, I'm going to use data. Let's save just to make sure that's working. Good, yep. Reset the padding to 0, margin 0, box size in border box. And again, box size in border box. And the reason I'm doing this is because everything has a, you can see here that we've got some margin. If I inspect, let's put this on the bottom. Let's inspect something around here. See this horizontal line, for example. That's already got some attributes associated with it, so I think it's margin, and that one has got some padding and margin. You can see the bluey red purpley area and the yellow, that's padding and margin. So we're going to remove all that, and if I save the file first, it removes it all, so we know where we are, we can apply our own, we know what we're doing. Box sizing again is so if you do apply any padding to the inside of an element, it won't affect the actual overall size of that element, so it won't push it out. Sometimes you do want that effect because it allows you to start in a different way, but for here we're just going to reset it. So wrapper, we're going to do display flex on here because we want the sidebar and the content next to each other. So flex direction row, I can never remember which one's the default, but I think it is the row, it's the default. I think I've said column before, but min height 100 vertical viewport height, and I'm going to do a height of auto in case it gets in case it increases. So width is going to be 100 viewport width, and I'm going to give it a background color of one I've already thought of. See, I'm prepared this time. 17. And then we can do color RGB for the text. As a default color, we can do 201 95195, and there you go. Right then, let's move on to the sidebar. Again, we're going to do display flex because we want everything to be in a column. So let's do that. Column, good. We want to align the items to the center, like so. Width, we want to give it a width because otherwise, if we don't give it a width, we won't be able to give the content a margin of that width. Look a bit odd. So 300, and background color, we're going to differentiate it. So I'm going to do an RGB A here. I'm going to say 777 0.5. Okay. The width applied as well, as you can see. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Height. We want that to be 100%. Min height, so it doesn't squash and overlap everything, is going to be 700. That should allow everything to fit. So if you position fixed, because we don't want it to move, where do we want to fix it to? The left. It's going to be 0 pixels away from the left. Right, so sidebar, moving on to the logo, display flex, width, let's move this up, width is going to be 100% of its container, and I'm going to give it a height of 100 pixels. I'm going to align items to the center. I'm also going to justify, I want it bang in the middle, so center both ways. I'm going to change the font size to 1.8 rem, and I'm going to give it some letter spacing as well of 2 pixels. There we go. As you can see, these little dots, that's the horizontal rule. We'll get to that in a minute. Right, let's colour the NTW. If you remember, we put a span around that, so sidebar logo span. I'm going to say color steel blue. There you go. Okay, so we want to move on to menu 1, which we're just going to apply this to the UL, because most menus are going to be like this unless we say otherwise. If we added more menus, then this is what we're going to use as default styling. So I'm going to put a border on it for a mo, 1 pixel solid red, and there you can see both menus are highlighted or bordered. List style, I'm going to remove them bullet points, which is what list style is, with a list style of none. And then I'm going to say width 70%, like that, and margin top, I'm going to say 50 pixels, and margin bottom 50 pixels as well. It spaces them out. There you can see again the horizontal rules are in the middle. Okay, let's do it for that one. Now I want to target all the list items apart from the first one, if that makes sense. I don't want to target this list item, just the rest of them in here. So I'm going to do a not, and we want to say nth child 1. So this nth child is saying, but basically what it says is which number child do you want to affect. But because I'm putting not before, then I want to apply it to not this, but all the rest of the LIs, list items. So I'm going to say margin top 10. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want that gap there to remain as 50. I don't want to add 10 more pixels to the top. I could just change that to 40 and make my life simpler, but I think this way is a bit more correct. So also want to put an overflow of, not spelt that correctly, overflow hidden, just because. Right, now we're targeting the actual anchor tags inside those list items, and we're going to say display block, and this is basically taking up all the room of the list item. It's going to dictate how big each of those menu items are. So text decoration none, because we want to remove the underlines like that. Now, because I've done block, it's took up the whole width, as you can see with this mouse cursor changing. So if I do inline block, then it doesn't. It remains in line. It doesn't take up the whole width. So it's up to us to make sure we sort that out. Let's change the colour of these to that. Font size, I'm going to do as 1 rem, which is what it was anyway, but padding, we're going to say 7 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right. There we go, so they're all nicely spaced out a bit. I'm going to give the border radius, even though there isn't a border for you to see this radius, there will be when we hover over. So I'm going to give it a border radius of 5 pixels, and I'm going to say transition. What do you want to transition? Transition means you don't want it to just change instantly. When we hover over, we want the background colour to change, but we don't want it to just pop. We want it to sort of a subtle effect, so it looks like it's fading in and out, but very quickly, depending on how much time you give it. So we want to concentrate on the background colour, and we want to say 0.3 seconds for that, and also the colour of the text, 0.3 seconds. We could just do all, but it's better to be a bit more specific than that. So now we want to do the ULLIA hover, so we can see this in action. So what I'm going to change is background colour, like we said, and that's going to be RGB, and I have got a colour for this as well. Obviously you can use whatever colour you want, and there you go, you see it just sort of, it's a bit more soft. And then text colour is going to be this. There we go. Okay, so let's sort the icons out. So again, ULLIA I, because if you remember, all the icons, where are they? All the icons sit in this A tag. The class is applied to the I tag, sorry, not A tag. So I'm going to say again, display inline block, like so. And now if we take that out, you'll see what I mean. Inline block, so width, give it 20 pixels, margin right, so we can push it away from the right, the text away from the right a bit. 15 pixels. Postman has just fricked the life out of me. There you go, you won't see much difference yet, but there you go. Right, there is something a bit missing here. Right, I think I've made a bit of a mistake here, because you see these are only, they're not spanning the whole way across, and that is because these should be within the anchor tags. So this here, oh my god, it should be like that, and then when I go back to here and say block, save, that's how it should be. So I'm going to pause the video for a minute and go and correct my mistake, because you don't want to see me do that, so I'll see you in a sec. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I've gone through everything within the anchor tags now, the logo and sorry, not the logo, the icons and the text, so it's all clickable. And I'm also going to get rid of this red border, so there we go, that's how it should be. Right then, so back on track. We have done the first menu. Let's do the second one. Right, so the UL with the class of user menu, and you're quite right, I could have just given them each their own classes, but again, like I said, if I want to create another one of these down here or something, then I can just simply do that. let's see, what do we want to do here? The first li, let's margin. Bottom I'm going to change to 15 pixels. Good. And then we'll go to the UL dot user menu and make sure there's no gap between the UL and dot user menu, because that means that both exist. So a UL with the class of user menu, hence the reason it's not affecting anything else. Let's concentrate on the anchor tags with like the login and register anchor tags. Padding of 5 pixels and 20 pixels. Don't see much just yet. Border none, even though there isn't one. Well, we don't need to do that. Border radius, I'm going to say 20 pixels, and text align center. Now all this, apart from the centering of the text, you can't see because, well, you can see if we hover over it, because it's still taking on this hover effect, but we're going to overwrite that. So if you remember, we gave each button its own class, so let's do that. Background color of RGB 173 59 like so, and for the text we're going to just make that white like that. We don't want this to be blue, so let's grab this, copy, paste it down here, put a hover instruction on that, and then change the background color to 121 28 and 28, and that can remain white. Save. Lovely. That is because I've got an extra comma in there. There you go. So, in fact, no, let's not copy that. We can do the same thing with the reg button. Background color, RGB, and this one's going to be, in fact, I didn't pick an RGB for this one. I picked aquamarine. Quite like that colour. Ooh, bright. And we're going to do colour for the text as black. There we go. And obviously we want to change the hover effect, so copy. Use the hover pseudo selector, and here I think we are going to use an RGB 51 175 134. Save. There we go. Okay, let's sort out these horizontal lines. Horizontal rules. So that's HR. So these are elements just like anything else, so we can display block on it. Give it a width of 70% and the height, I'm going to say 1 pixel. We want to remove the border, otherwise it's going to be at least 3 pixels high, so none. And we want to do a background color of RGBA of 255 255 255 1. There we go. So there you can see them. Hopefully you can see them. They're quite subtle. So let's move on to this footer. Footer area. Footer. Display flex. We want that text to be in the middle. So align item center. Justify content center. And then let's give it a height of 50 pixels and a width of 100%, like so. Let's give it a different background color. I'm going to do RGB of 24, 23, 23. There you go. And I'm going to do position absolute, and that is going to be absolutely positioned at the bottom, 0 pixels away from the bottom, like that. Now what we do have to do is sort out the content over here. As far as the sidebar is concerned, that's pretty much done. You can adjust size and it will go up to, as you can see, it goes up to where it can fit everything in. We picked 700 min height, I think. That's why it disappears after 700. But anyway, let's go to the content here. Let's do lorem times 10. Okay. As you can see, we gave this sidebar a slight alpha, so you can see straight through it, which is going to help me explain this to you. In here, let's do another lorem times 15. Save, and there you go. So, go back to styles. What we want to do, content area. You want to say display. Let's first say what we want to target. Content display flex. Flex direction column. Because obviously it's all going vertically. This doesn't really matter that bit, but width, we're going to calculate the width. If I can spell, we're going to say 100% of the container, which is what it's filling now, minus 320 pixels. So there you go. And now we just want to push it over by that much, so we'll give it a margin left of 320. And there you go. You can see the gap there. I don't know if you can actually. You should be able to just see the gap between the sidebar and the text because of that 20 pixel extra we gave it. I mean, you can carry on, you can say padding 20 pixels all round, and then you can go on to do the dot content p and say, I don't know, margin bottom 20 pixels, and that separates out, but that's a completely different a different video. But if I just pull this, you can see that it's all quite it's all quite flexible. It sort of expands and contracts with the page. It's not responsive because if we get down to here, then obviously looking on a mobile phone, you're not going to see a lot apart from a menu. That's where the opening and closing of this menu would come into play, which I will do in a follow-up video. But for now, this is just about creating and styling a menu. So I hope that explained it a bit better than the last video. If it did, please give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe. There will be a lot more videos coming your way, and I will be getting better at this. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.